Hey everyone, it's Ryan with This Smart House again, and today we're going to take a look at the new Wyze Light Strips. A few weeks ago, I was contacted by Wyze, you know, the company that makes the cameras that I did a review on a few weeks ago, and they asked if I'd like to take a look at some of their new products coming out. So they sent me their new light strips. Now, what I have here are the standard and pro light strips. Now, I'm no expert on light strips. You've got guys like Dr. Z's and the Hookup that do a lot with light strips, like outdoor light strips for holidays. I really have never gotten into those, so this is kind of my first foray into light strips. So I know there are just a ton of them out there, different brands, different varieties, and these are kind of a good way for a beginner to get started with installing light strips, say behind your TV, under a kid's bed, or to brighten up a particular room in your house. So today we're going to take a look at these two versions of the light strips from Wyze. We're going to talk about the different features that they both have, the features that are different between the two of them, and who these are specifically for. So like I said before, these come in two different versions. They come in the standard and the pro versions. And right off the bat, you can tell the difference because the standard versions are much smaller and on a much smaller reel, and the pro versions have a much thicker coating on them. So right now, these are available for pre-order on the Wyze website. I believe they're either coming out in late September or early October. Now, each of these come in two separate lengths. You can get them in both the 5 meter or 16.4 feet or 10 meter, 32.8 feet. Now, the interesting thing is that if you do get the 32-foot versions of either one of these, it comes with two of these light strips, and then the controller actually has two outputs on it. So you put the controller in the middle of the two longer light strips. So they're actually just two 16-foot light strips that are connected together at the middle. And then that way it minimizes voltage drop. So next, let's talk about what comes with each light kit. So each light kit comes with obviously a reel of lights, whether it's 16 or 32 feet. Comes with a controller. Now the controller has on the back, tells you which version it is. So this is the light strip and this is the Light Strip Pro. They look almost identical, but on the back it tells you which version they are. Each kit comes with a power supply. This is just a standard wall wart power supply that outputs 12 volts at 2 amps. And each kit comes with a bag of these clear mounting strips. Now you can use these to snap the light strips and stick them on a surface that is a little bit more difficult, or if you're doing something like a bend with them. In addition, each of the light strips, both pro and standard, have a sticky back on them that can be peeled off that you can use to stick to whatever surface you want. And they come with a quick start guide. Now, I'm not sure what the final iteration is going to look like. These were pre-release versions, so there may be something additional that comes in the box in the final version, but for the pre-release, you get pretty much everything you need to get these set up the way you want. Here later on, we'll go into the differences between the light strips, but let's talk about what they have in common. Each light strip has the same type and number of LEDs. All the LEDs are capable of doing 16 million colors. Now, these can be done with any combination of red, green, blue, and white. So it can produce any color you want, plus every version of white light from warm to cold. Another neat feature that the light strips have is what's called music sync. And so the strips will react to music or sounds around them. As you can see right now, they're both kind of flashing based on what I'm talking. So it's kind of a neat feature that can be both activated in the app or by pressing the side button on the strip's control piece itself. So you press that and then the little microphone on board will pick up the sounds around you and start flashing and cycling the lights through different colors. So you can control what type of color lights flash in the application, but you can activate it by pressing the button on the side. So talking about buttons, both controllers have buttons on top that can be used to turn on and off the lights. So you press and hold the buttons down, the light strips will power off. Or you can press them again, they'll turn back on again, and each time you press the button, it'll cycle through a different color light that's predefined. So this is nice if you've got somebody who wants local control, they can just press the button and they can change it to a preset RGB color. You can also control a variety of different lighting colors and features in the Wyze app. You can select any color that you'd like. You can also select a variety of different color temperatures if you want to have it set to a white light color. You can also set up automations and timers in the application. That can be used to turn light strips on and off. You can use them as a custom sunrise and sunset for going to sleep or waking up. You can also customize the style of the music sync on either strip. Now, I'm using a pre-release version of the application, so I'll show you that here in a minute. It could change before launch, so just an FYI. They also have special lighting modes like sun match, so you can set the strips to be able to match whatever color temperature the sun is. So as the sun rises and gets higher in the sky, the light strips will turn to a cooler temperature, and as the sun sets, they'll turn to a warmer temperature. So you can have them synced up together. You can also set them up in a group to where you can control a set of light strips. You can assign a color or an effect to a whole spectrum of light strips just by grouping them together in the application. Now, these lights are indoor only. Even though the Pros have a large epoxy coating on them, they're only rated for indoor use. This is just to give it an extra layer of protection. And as I stated before, the strips have a peel and stick adhesive on the back. Also, the controller does as well, so you can mount the controller someplace convenient to be able to activate the buttons on the front and side. And both sets of strips can be cut to length. On each of the strips, there are cut points indicated by a picture of scissors that can be used to cut these down to a specific length. Now, you cannot add additional length to the strips by soldering in more light strips because the power supply is limited. So if you added more light strips to it, you wouldn't be able to power the whole strip and you start having problems. So you could cut these to make them shorter. You could potentially also use this to, say, separate them by a few inches if you wanted to go around a corner and solder in on these solder pads here. But for the most part, you can't add any additional length to what it comes with. So let's talk about what the differences are between the standard and Pro light strips. Now, obviously, first appearances, you can definitely tell, like I mentioned before, there's an epoxy coating on the Pro strips that is not on the standard strips. Again, this affords a bit of extra protection. It protects the LEDs, contacts, and traces from bumps or knocks if they're being mounted somewhere like a playroom. The largest difference that I see between the strips is the capability of the Pros to be able to have 16 different colors on one strip. So with the standards, the strip has to have one color for every LED on the strip. The Pros, however, can have up to 16 different colors individually addressed on the strip itself, which allows for more complicated effects that are not available on the standard. Now on that subject, again, there's a whole variety of different lighting effects that are available on the Pro that are not available on the standard because of that limitation of only being able to do one light per strip on the standard. So if you're looking for a more dynamic lighting experience, then you will look at something like the Pro versus the standard being more of just a single color on all LEDs at one time. Also, the power supplies are slightly larger on the Pros. It has a 2 amp power supply, where the standard has only a 1.5 amp power supply, both running off 12 volts. So there's a small price difference between the two strips. So if you are looking for something more advanced, I would recommend going with the Pros over the standards, just because of all those extra lighting features like you can see here, where the standard is just gonna react with one color, one pattern at a time. So there isn't a lot of difference as far as features, except for that big difference between the 16 colors, being able to have multiple colors on the same strip at the same time. Other than that, the app functions all exactly the same. You can still select the same number of colors, but just one per strip for the standard, 16 different ones on the Pros. Now that we have both light strips in the Wyze app, let's explore what we can control with the app. So I'm gonna go ahead and select my standard light strip over here. And you notice at the top, you have an option to click the plus button, which will allow you to group these lights together. So this will actually take both lights and create a single light that shows up in the application, so that way you can control them together. Now, this doesn't mean you have to set them to the exact same color. This allows you to use the scene features to go in and control both lights and give them a slightly different color. This allows you to control the lights together, but we'll do that here in a minute. So at the top of the application, you've got a power button, so you can power the light strips on and off. You can also control the overall brightness of the strip itself. Then below that, you've got the design function, and this allows you to select a custom color, whatever color you want off the color wheel. And then if you were to swipe, this allows you to select a color temperature that you can match any standard color temperature in Kelvin. So for example, these lights here are about 6100 Kelvin. So I could select that color if I wanted to match those up, or you could warm up things. And again, you can control the slide at the top to do brightness. Now, if we come down a little further, there are swatches. Now these allow you to select a specific color for the lights, and you can click the edit button to delete or add a custom color of your liking. Now, the next tab over is the color scenes. Now these, for a single light strip, will seem very similar to the swatches on the last tab. However, if you have these two lights in a group, this would apply different complementary colors to the light strips in a pair. So if I click this gaming one, it may be purple and it may be a blue, or it may be a different color. So it kind of selects a color scheme that you can select from. And again, you can click the edit button to select and create your own custom light scene. Finally, there's the music option, which switches the light strip into music mode and allows you to select different styles of motion for the lights that react based on your music or voice. So you can select of 3 different styles for the standard strip. You can select the sensitivity, how sensitive you want the microphone to be for the music or the sound, and you can have it select auto color, which will go ahead and cycle through all the available colors. If you untick that, you can select which 4 colors you want it to sequence through, which is kind of a nice option. So if we hop back over here to my Light Strip Pro on this side, you'll notice you have some of the exact same features. Now where the big difference comes is when you go to music. Now, when you click the music, you have a lot more options than you would before. And if you look at this light strip, you'll see it's got a bunch of different colors at the exact same time. You can select from a different music scene that will change dynamically based on what sounds it hears. Which, with this one, it can have multiple different lights and light effects, versus the standard can't do that. The standard can just hold a single color. So this is kind of cool because you can have it do something like a marquee where it chases itself around. And then when you have the Pro light strip, you have some additional options on how close the lights colors stay together, whether you want them to do it all in a specific line, if you want them to be closer together or push them further apart. And again, you've got the auto color function here at the bottom as well. So then if we wanted to, we could group these lights together in a group. So you select which light strips you want to group together and give it a name. Now this will actually replace the individual light strips with the group in the interface. So now if we go back to my list of devices, you'll see you just have the group selected. So now that we have the lights grouped together, we can control their brightness together with one slider. We can also now see when we apply a scene to it, the lights aren't exactly the same. The light colors are slightly different. So now that I've selected this gaming one has a purple and one has a pink. This energy one has two different colors of light on there. Movies kind of the same way, you have slightly different colors of lights. So this allows you to actually, when you have them grouped together, so you'll be able to go in and create a custom scene for your group. Now, since this is a pre-release version, it looks like that's not functional, but I'm assuming it'll be functional by the release of the app later on. Even if the lights are grouped together, you can toggle here at the top and change specific control for each one. So if I wanted to set them to the same color, I would tick each of them at the top, and then they're going to respond to the exact same color as I select them. I can untick one, and then it just allows me to control whichever light is ticked. So you can still have some granular control even if you have them grouped together, even though they only show up as a single device in the application. And then if we hit the gear wheel at the top, we can go in and we can customize the group and set schedules. So if we look at schedules and automation, we can create a new schedule that will turn lights on, turn lights off, change based on where the application is. So if when you get home, you can turn your lights on to a specific color. You can set up sleep routines. So you can set a specific wake up or go to sleep time where the lights will simulate a sunrise or sunset. You can have a timer to say turn on in an hour or turn off in an hour. You can turn on vacation mode, which will have different colors turn on at different times to kind of simulate somebody being home. You have sun match, like we talked about before, where the light strips will match the specific color temperature of the sun. So if you have a room with a lot of windows in it, it kind of complements that. And then a function in here to be able to delete scenes if you don't want to keep the scenes that are in there. One cool thing you can do is select power loss recovery. One of the annoying things about some of my Hue lights is when power goes out and comes back on again, say in the middle of the night, all the lights turn back on again into the kind of neutral white light state. This allows you to select what you want the light strips to do when the power is reapplied. So if you unplug and plug them back in again, do you want them to turn back on? Do you want them to go back to the same state they were? Or do you want to customize them per light? All right, that's it for the application. Now let's take a look at some final thoughts on these light strips.
So here's a simple application for these light strips. So my son Liam wanted some LED strips for under his bed. So I ran in the standard light strips under his bed to give him some cool effects when he's hanging out in his room or listening to music. I went ahead and pointed the back strips at the wall so you could see them from on top of his bed. Now you can see this is kind of a cool application for a kid's room for something simple like these light strips.
So let's talk about who these light strips are for. So these are not going to be light strips for somebody who is going to want to run these across the outside of their house, making Christmas lights. This is not going to be for somebody who wants to put these lights outdoors because they're not waterproof. They're not meant for that. This is also not for somebody who's going to want to expand on and keep adding on more and more light strips and add a larger power supply. These are limited to a specific length and a specific type of light strip. So these will be good for a specific project that you have in mind, or if you're just getting started with light strips. If you want to say run a color strip behind some monitors, brighten up your desk, or the example we did before where these are under a child's bed, that's a kind of a perfect opportunity for that. Because if you want something where you can have both local control and remote control and have the function of being able to activate the music mode, these light strips are great for that. If you're going to want to expand this and have a multi-room setup or multiple strips set up to be controlled together, again, this is another great application for that. If you want to get into something like Hyperion, where you want to be able to control the lights and have them respond to specific inputs, like from your TV, these are not going to do that for you because they're limited to what the app can do. So keep that in mind. But if somebody's just beginning with light strips or have a specific application or room where you want to add them in, these are quick and easy. They don't require a lot of additional wiring, calculations, or setup. You just plug them in, stick them up where you want them to go, and you're on your way. All in all, I think they're both a pretty good deal for the price point and a great chance to get into making some custom lighting for your home. So thanks again to Wyze for sending me these light strips to take a look at. They didn't sponsor this video, but they did send the lights, so I appreciate giving me the opportunity to look these over. And hopefully if they are something that you'd be interested in, you can find links to them below in the description. So if you'd like to see more videos on Wyze products, click this playlist down below. If you'd like to let the algorithm select the next video for you, please click here. And if you haven't already, please select our logo here to be subscribed to our channel. Thanks again and have a great rest of your day.